there! My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And I'm James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James.
And we are here live again from our van.
We're on location, at a different location, every time.
No, actually, I think we were the same. Well, we were in a different spot. They keep moving us around. We are still under evacuation.
Yes, we are.
Net rhyming.
That's because of the wildfires that have hit our community.
That's right. So we are, let me see if you can see. Okay. We are so happy to see you, and we are going to do a show tonight on the topic of if you can't find an answer, or I can't even remember what I wrote down,
right.
But it was, if you can't find an answer, maybe you should ask a different question.
Yeah.
Don't you like that?
I've had to do that lots of times in my life.
Really? I'm trying to figure out what that means myself, so I think it's very cool. So, but before we get into the show, I would like to invite Sweet Baby James to talk about our show and introduce it.
Welcome, everybody. You have come to Granny Rocks, where Granny shares with us her wit, her wisdom, and her uncommon sense about the topics of our lives and our society. So, without take it away, Granny. And by the way, we air every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time.
We certainly do. And Elizabeth, that's live. And Elizabeth said, glad to see you're hanging in there and still doing the show. Of course we're still doing the show.
The show must go on.
It must go on. And Rosemary said, mis amados amigos que estén bien. That means, my
friends,
my beloved friends are still well, or something like that. And what the heck just happened? I pushed the wrong button. And Tracy said, and it's nice to see you too. So this is really a very challenging topic, and I'm going to make a lot of fun here, and we're going to be laughing because that's what we do. But, you know, there are so many I'm going to give you an example of what I mean, a simple example that doesn't have anything to do with me. Supposing you are a physical therapist and you say, how am I going to make a good living as a physical therapist? Now, if we just take that question and we say, okay, what do you mean ask a different question? Well, there are assumptions in the question, see? And the trick is to figure out the assumptions. Amy says, what a great topic. Thank you, Amy. I hope you feel the same way when we're done. Because I'm thinking, what? What am I going to say about this? Island, oh, okay. There are just more people coming on. I'm so happy to have you guys watching. So, for instance, here's the thing is, how can I make a good living as a physical therapist? Well, that's assuming that you are supposed to be a physical therapist, or that being a physical therapist should make you a good living, or even a lousy living. So Laura said, oh, you look awesome. So glad to see you tonight. Love you both.
Oh, you're wonderful, Laura.
I think she says we look awesome just because we're still alive. I know. If you think this is Sweet Baby James' robe, you would be correct. And Luann Cat sent us a heart. Thank you.
This is like Sir Walter Raleigh throwing his coat down in the pool of water.
Exactly. So,
well, then I threw my robe down on you.
That's right, except that I stole it when he wasn't looking. And Island said, hi, Island, and there you go. So the assumption is that you make a living, you know, because you're working full-time as a physical therapist. And the other assumption is that you're supposed to be a physical therapist. Now, I'm going to take something that is painfully close to home, which is we're trying to figure out what to do next. We have a situation. It looks like our house is still standing, but there's no internet, so we can't do this, you know, without internet. And we have no phone and no cell service or anything up where we live. Oh, Island says, you guys are so sweet. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Island.
Thank you. And we've been thinking anyway that maybe God has interrupted our lives in a rather violent way in order to make us rethink the issue about where we live and how we live and can we continue doing that. So we live an hour from town, And it is very, very difficult. Would you like to share, James?
Oh yeah, I mean it's over an hour's drive to get anything. And if I happen to forget something,
Happen to forget them.
which happens quite a lot, it happens to happen a lot,
Happens all the time.
and so then it's another hour drive to get it. Oh my God!
So we're in this little town on the coast, and he forgot his wallet, and so
Oh my God!
and it was like 5 minutes away, and somebody picked it up in the parking lot and brought it in,
And all the money was still in it.
and oh, can you believe that? And then you forgot something else, and we had to go back, or you bought the wrong thing,
Yeah,
and we had to go
and
back.
then today I forgot my glasses when we were chatting with somebody, as I was trying to rein in a couple of doggies.
And she came running over, and she found us.
Yeah,
So that doesn't happen if you live in
angels.
So anyway, see the point. So we are looking at, okay, this is an opportunity for us to really examine whether or not we can survive here. So now we say, all right, so the obvious question is, can we find a place to either rent or buy that's closer to town? And we are like, oh, God, this is so expensive. That's so miserable. They don't have any tree. There's this problem.
They
There's
don't
that.
allow pets.
They don't allow pets unless you buy it, and we don't have the money, and and what are we going to do? And so, supposing I said, okay, all right, just let's take a look at what assumptions we are making.
One is we're moving.
One is that we are moving. Another one is that we should move somewhere where it's easier for us to manage, especially for James, right? Those are all assumptions. Now, supposing we asked a different question.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or supposing
I'm all
we
ears.
asked the question. I'm not saying we can do this or we will do this, but supposing we're going to ask the question, how can we create enough support for us to move? And by that, I don't mean, oh, you call somebody when you're in trouble, especially because when we're in trouble up there, you can't call anybody because the power has gone out. You don't have a phone. There's no cell service.
And if you call, and even if you can call for an ambulance, it takes them an hour to get to our place.
An hour and a half to
An hour
get
and a
to
half, and then another hour to get to the hospital.
Right, I was, yes.
You had that experience,
I did.
having a fall, broken arm,
Right.
2.5 hours before you got to the hospital.
Okay, but James,
Yeah, go ahead.
please, you're changing the subject.
Oh.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, for example, and I hate this idea, but supposing we said, how do we co-create an environment? Let's say there's a lot of people's houses have burned. I mean, hundreds of structures have burned on our highway. Right now, you can't get to our house. Burned down. So maybe what we should do is open up our house and start opening it up to people who could come in and help us and drive us or do the gardening or whatever it is, and provide them with a place to live and us with much more support than we have now. Now, I hate that idea. Do you know why I hate that idea?
Why do you hate that idea?
I hate that idea because I'm very sensitive and I feel people's feelings, and I don't like to have noise above my head and this and that and the other thing. So, okay, we're going to move to an apartment. I'm still going to be near people and they're going to be walking on my head. But my point is, I don't even allow myself to ask that question.
Yeah.
Or maybe we are supposed to sell our motorhome and buy a slightly bigger one, and we're not buying a house and we're not renting a house. Or supposing we're supposed to buy a piece of land and put a trail and then hope that they don't go out. Or we are supposed to go become caretakers at an RV park, which is very amusing since neither of us is even remotely capable of doing anything like that. But my point is that there is an assumption that we are supposed to move rather than we are supposed to create a different environment. And so the question that we could be asking is, what other kinds of alternatives do we have to moving into town or moving into another town or buying a house or renting it? Nobody wants to rent you a house with a dog. Now, here's another thing. Houses that are for rent are so outrageously expensive, especially if they take dogs. They usually are dumps. Now, we have an assumption there, which is we're supposed to keep our dogs. Now, you're not going to take my dogs away from me, right? But see, the whole point is we get rigid and no, that isn't going to happen. This is the only way it has to be. Now, I am going to, so do you get my drift?
I do.
How do you like that drift?
Some of it drifts sideways. I am. Like packing our house with people.
And in Island says, intentional community seems nice. It only seems nice. But anyway, we don't have any, soundproofing from the upstairs to the downstairs. Maybe we could invite in somebody who knows how to soundproof the house. Now, I'm not saying we could do this in our condition. We're both old. We're both, I'm physically disabled. He's kind of mentally disabled, But how do you know? How do you know that with all these people who are desperate for housing, that they isn't somebody who could actually manage this other than us? It's a question that we don't ask. You get my point. We get stuck in a question and we don't ask a different one. So maybe in the end, we will buy a house with, I don't know, non-existent money, or we will rent a house that, or whatever it is. So we don't know whether we should live here or we should live there. But I would like to be willing to ask a different question and just allow that thought to percolate. Now, I am challenging you, our audience. What are you discovering that you don't have an answer for? That maybe, just maybe, there's a different question. Yes, we could move in with our parents, right, James? In the sky. Could they, Island says, could they live in a trailer on the property? I don't know if it's legal, but that's possible. That's an idea too. That is an idea. You see, she just asked a question that we had not asked. Could they live in a trailer on the property? Really? Mm-hmm. Good thinking. And would they be willing, take on some responsibility? Is there anybody who was responsible here? All the people that we relied on when we had to evacuate, they all evacuated.
And they evaporated. They weren't even available, not even remotely. Now we discover we have a flood at our house because there's some spigot that broke. And so we're hoping somebody will fix it. Anyway, as I say, right now we can't move there anyway, because then we couldn't talk to you. I want to do Dreams of Peace. I want to play the piano. Todd is going to be doing another show tomorrow, my piano music. So Amy says, or maybe you could live in the trailer when someone is in your house. Don't even think it. I can't get my 7-foot grand piano in the trailer, but it is always a possibility. So that's a good one. I'm asking you about you. Everybody's trying to solve our problems. Do you notice that? Everybody's looking at our, what about you? What is it that you may have found an answer? Karen said, wow, good to see you. We'll catch up. I guess you just came on. Karen, we are talking about if you can't find an answer, maybe you should ask a different question. And so that's what we're exploring here. So I have some thoughts.
Good.
Yeah, maybe this will help get the ball rolling. Like in the career arena, I was once pointed to becoming an accountant. And so I was on that track. But then when I started noticing that I made some C's in the accounting courses, I thought, do I have an aptitude for this? Maybe I need to look in a different direction. And I did. And then I became a lawyer. And then after a while, toward the end of that career, I finally asked myself, gee, I don't really have an aptitude for that either. Maybe I need to think in a different direction.
Right, or maybe the question is, why do you keep picking things that you have no aptitude for? Laura said, we can come help you. I sent you a message. LOL. We are so blessed to know you. Oh, thank you,
Oh,
Laura.
thank you, Laura.
Well, if you could meet us in Mackenzie Bridge, maybe our house in order. But we still can't stay there. Yes, we are having trouble getting our medication, our supplements. We are just like, but long term. So, are you thinking about? Todd says, "I am thinking." I like that. Island says, "Look, Lar Min." I don't get that. Anyway, are you thinking about things yourself? This is not a solve Granny Rocks and Sweet Baby James problem. This is a let's look inside and see if we're having trouble changing the question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to count to 5 and hope somebody comes on and says something that is relevant to them. 1, 2, 3, going once. 4, going twice. 5. Do you mean nobody out there is having trouble finding answers? Okay, very good. The name, Lar. Oh, amen. The way will be shown to you. I have complete belief and faith. Excellent topic tonight. Thank you, Lar. I love that. See? And in order for us to be shown the way, we have to stop rigidly, right? Although secretly, I hope we can for ourselves that we can cuddle up in and just like be in the same place for more than 2 nights. We haven't been in the same place for more than 2 nights for a while.
So here's another one.
Yes.
Once upon a time, I noticed Camaros riding around on the freeway. I thought, I want one of those. I went in the direction of getting a Camaro, and I even tried to get it. And son of a gun, I got a Camaro. On driving it, I noticed I only got 12 and a half miles to the gallon. So I got rid of that car and got myself a Volkswagen. So I was in the wrong direction, and I had to shift to thinking in a different way.
Good. So Elizabeth said, I'm having trouble hearing everything you're saying. Oh, I am so sorry. We should have a good cell signal, but she said it's raining hard here. What question did you ask? We asked the question, what are you having trouble getting answers for? You know, if you're not finding an answer, do you need to ask a different question? Like, okay, if we can't find a rental, or if we can't find a house to buy, if we don't have money, if we can't sell our house, I was saying maybe we shouldn't sell our house, or maybe we should move into a residence, but we can't afford that. We should move into a trailer and so on. Island says, so nice to have each other. Sometimes it's very nice to have each other. Island says audio only.
Maybe she's on audio only.
Oh. How can we make ends financially? Great question. Luann is asking a great question. So if you're not finding any answers, how can you change the question? For instance, should we make ends meet? Right? I know that sounds stupid, but maybe it isn't. Maybe this is a temporary situation and you don't need to make those ends meet for now. Amy says, I see your video okay, though it does break up here and there. Okay, Laura says, we are having trouble with video. I'll check with you on email. I'm so sorry. Should we turn off our video and we should have probably moved it's raining here too. I wonder if we should have moved our van up. Can you hear the question? Can you hear the question? Is what question can you ask that you're not asking? How are you stuck in assumptions. Like, are you supposed to make ends meet? You know, my theory is, oh, Island said she refreshed. Seems like, and Todd says, seems like it's working better now. So glad to hear that. Ah, Island says it's good now. Who knows, right? We're on a cell signal. We're grateful we have anything here, right? So, what is a question? Jose says, Mama and Papa, God bless you. Nice to see you both. Gracias, Jose. Audio is not cutting out now like it was, says Todd. Island says, good now. Should I say the question again? If you are having trouble finding answers, is there a different question to ask? I'll give you another example. Let's say you have a child living with you, and that child is crazy, and you keep trying to figure out how to make it work. Maybe the question is, should that child be living with you? See what I mean? A different question, which will open up other ways of thinking. And I am asking each of you to look at your lives. And Kat did that. She said, how do we make ends meet? And I'm saying, well, there's an assumption there that ends are supposed to meet. You know, if you think about it, two ends, they may not meet. My plan is to die, an early death, so I don't have to make ends meet. I can blow all the money now and not have ends meet at all. Okay, so anybody want to take on this question? Really confront themselves with a different question. By the way, we do a show every Wednesday night called Seeing Through New Glasses. And it's not a show. It's a video conference. You sign, I leave, and we really get into it. Amy says, here's the question for everyone. If you are having difficulty finding answers, is there a different question you could ask? Well, that's the question that I've been asking. So, Amy, what about you? I'm asking you. I'm asking everybody who's watching. Is there some question that you're not getting answers for that you could be asking a different question? Like we talked about, maybe we shouldn't be moving into a rental or a new home because we can't afford it, and maybe we should open up our home to other people and have them things. Oh, Amy said, I wrote it because not everyone is hearing it. Island said, just don't rush to find the answer. Very good. What about you? Who is speaking about themselves? I'm not asking you to solve our problems. My question is, why are people not answering my question? Which is, if you're finding answers, is there a different question? Like, should you throw your daughter out? Or should you change your expectations? Or send her back to her father? Or are there other questions? Elizabeth, am I to continue working the same line of work I'm currently in? So are you having trouble answering that question? And if so, what other question could you ask? What is the purpose of your work? For example, Tracy, I'm not wanting to post my question. I will share about it on our call. Okay, very cool. She's going to be in Seeing Through New Glasses. Elizabeth says, yes, I'm having trouble answering this question. I love it. Island, should I ask him even if he cares about me? Should I ask him if he even cares about me? Yes. Very good, Island. Amy, I have less work now because of longer appointment times due to allowing cleaning between patients. So I figured a way to add more time to each day. Very good. Did you ask a different question? Did you say, I can't make this work. Can I add more time to solve that problem? So that could have been asking a different question. Anybody else not finding an answer and being willing to ask a different question? So my question to each of you is, why is this question so hard to address? If I'm having trouble getting answers, which we are because people aren't really answering, why, the question then becomes, why is it so difficult to answer this question? And I'll tell you what I think. I think it's so damned uncomfortable to get away from what we think should happen and how we traditionally deal with things. And we don't want to challenge ourselves. You know, if we can't find an answer, okay, like the dogs. If we can't find a house that takes dogs, should we have the dogs? Or should we stay in this 19-foot motorhome where we have no space for anything, including our clothes, in order to keep the dogs? Are we willing to do that without bitching or moaning? Todd, I am having trouble thinking of a case of where I can't find an answer. Wow, lucky guy. I have no trouble finding that. Cat, should we rent the house and live in a bus on the property? Okay, are you having trouble finding the answer? I'm not asking you what are the questions that you have. I'm asking you, are you having trouble finding the answer? And I think in this case, we've already talked about that. You ask a different question. How important is the relationship versus the money? That's the question. The question isn't, should we rent out the house and live in the trailer? The question is what's more important to you at this point, the relationship or the money? So that is a change in question. Get it? Okay, Amy says, I assume I know what the answers are, which keeps me stuck inside the same questions, rather than considering a new question at all. Right on, Amy. Tracy says, I can relate to not wanting to challenge myself. Me too. And Island says, yes, to something. Right. We don't want to challenge ourselves. We don't want to challenge our assumptions. We want things to be the way we think they should be, whether that's the way we grew up or our parents did it or it's more comfortable or whatever. I mean, here's another question. We are making an assumption that life needs to get easier for James so that he doesn't make so many mistakes, right? Well, maybe life isn't supposed to get easier for James, and we're supposed to go up in a ball of flame. Anyway, we're so glad to be with you tonight. We better end because we have a group in 2 minutes. Amy says, I feel safe if I struggle with the same things rather than taking a chance with something new. Very, very good, Amy. Even just thinking about it. I'm not even saying you should do it. Just think about it. Very well said. Eileen, yes, trouble answering. Well, you can take this question with you, can't you? And ask yourself why this question is so difficult for you to answer and what areas you really need to be looking at different questions and what those questions could be. And that's it. So please like this show. Todd said, looking forward to seeing you in the group, seeing through new glasses so we can go deeper. I am too. So we'll see you in a minute, so we better shut up so we can go on to our group. But it's wonderful seeing everybody. Please like and love this and share this program if you want to inflict this on any of your friends. And if you don't, ask yourself, why don't you want to inflict this on your friends? And I do apologize if we had trouble transmitting. We're doing our best here. So, anyway, we love you.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.
And don't forget to come on tomorrow night at 7 p.m., Dreams of Peace. Todd is going to be doing a program of my improvisational piano music that you haven't heard yet, or most of you have not heard yet. So that's the best that we can do at this point, since I have no piano and no way to record in any of those things. So with that, I say
goodbye for now.
bye-bye. Love you all.